Welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. Today we're going to try our hand at some DIY paint protection film. I partner with a company called Ravoony. I've never worked with them before, but we are going to try and put some of that paint protection film on the 2023 Corvette C8 Stingray. We're going to start easy today, or easier I should say, and probably try and do the hood to start, see how far we get with that, and then we'll do some follow-up videos to see how this all works out. Eventually I will be wrapping the car on top of the PPF, but I wanted this PPF just for that extra protection. So let's go. Before we get started, let's look at some of the supplies you'll see me use throughout the video. So first we have some distilled water, and we have 70% isopropyl alcohol, and we also have some baby shampoo. We need the water to mix with the baby shampoo to make our slip solution. Just a few drops of this in about a liter of water, and you have your slip solution, so we can move the film around on the panel that we're working on. And then we have our Tack solution here with the alcohol. This is still mostly water. There's ratios of how to mix these things up. I can leave a link in the video description below, or just share with you what those ratios look like. Depending on the film, you may have ratios that vary slightly, but what I'm doing is pretty generic. We got a bunch of different squeegees here. These are the hard squeegees. These ones have more flexibility. We've got a tiny one here. I probably won't use this, to be honest, but you'll see me use a variety of those. I have a bucket of hot water here because, one, you can keep your solutions warm, so that's an option. That helps with keeping the film more pliable, and it lays over some of the ridges and contours a little more easily to work with when the water's warm. I also have an ugly but effective headlamp here, which can be helpful. Lots of different cutting blades, and then we have a blade for cutting our film. The heat gun probably don't need until the end when we go to finish up some edges. So you don't need to use the heat gun like you would with vinyl, all the vinyl there. You wouldn't need to use the heat gun on the paint protection film to stretch it out. Warm water is good enough. Heat gun, you risk burning it, causing damage. So that's just there for later. We're not going to use it probably today at all. Now, before you get started with the vehicle, you need to make sure that, one, your environment is clean. So I've got that achieved, but I spent a lot of time cleaning the car. We're lucky it's pretty much brand new. Doesn't have a lot of mileage on it yet, so I didn't need the clay bar or anything like that, but I did a thorough wash, pulled it in, dried it down with microfiber towel. We're going to clean it again just with some slip solution before we put on our film. But for all intents and purposes, you want to make sure that your panel or your vehicle is perfectly clean, because once you get contaminants underneath the film, yes, you can remove them if you catch them early enough, but it's a bit of a pain as well. And if you can avoid it altogether, then that's what you should do from the beginning. And here's the film here. You'll see there's a wrinkle here. This is the protective cap that is just used for shipping. That's going to come off anyway, so don't worry about that. What's also nice about a cap is you can use it, especially if you're using bulk film, you can use a marker and you can put little lines on where you want to cut. I had cut a little sliver off. I was just practicing with the film to kind of see what its characteristics were like earlier. But now we can pull this out, make our measurements, and put it right onto the car. All right, it's coming along pretty good. It's gonna stay foggy for a while, potentially a couple days. That's fine, the car's not going anywhere. We can't really wrap these edges yet until they dry out. So normally you'd go work on another panel, so maybe we'll attempt the roof for today's video since I think we have a little bit of time. But as these dry out, we can start to curl them under. Might have to do some relief cuts, or make it a little shorter in that area. But either way, I do wanna wrap it around so we have proper protection. So see, it's starting to stick a little better now because it's probably been 20 minutes since I wiped this off. Now we'll do the roof, but I am going to look at getting some of this film pre-cut to maybe do the rockers and the doors. Just gonna be a little easier at the way, and then I'll waste less bulk material. But you can do templates and cut things out close. But I do want to try using this film with a cutout template as well. So we might as well check that out. But for now, we're gonna continue some bulk demos, and we're going to do the removable roof. All right, so we have most of the roof covered already, but now we've developed these fingers on the side here. So I did use Tack solution in this inside ridge, so that started to stick down pretty well. Right now I just got a lot of slip in here so it didn't dry out, but now I'm gonna take a whole bunch of Tack solution and I'm gonna spray it in here, and then I'm gonna use hot water from the tap, very hot water from the tap, pour it over here, and the fingers will just be a little more pliable, and then we're going to tack everything down, and we might have a few fingers at the very end, but we can work those out when we go to wrap the edges. It's hot, but it's not too hot. Let's get some slip solution on here, and now with some force and some guidance, we'll just make sure this ridge has no air or moisture in it, and then we'll come over the top and start working these fingers out. Because it's all bunching up in the middle, it's better if we can work them out a little bit towards the edge. Just be careful. Maybe use this side of the squeegee so you can see what you're doing. But you got to use force, but you don't want the material to fold in on itself, because then you'll have a line that you might not be able to get rid of. But as you can see, they're coming out here. I'm using quite a bit of force, making sure the while that everything is still tacked down. Add a little in here. Always use slip solution on top so your squeegee doesn't bind. I'm getting close now. I can probably just start to really push it down to the edge, just like that. And then we'll press and hold around the corners. You just need a little bit of Tack solution here. You can kind of see an air pocket there. So shoot that in there. There we go. A little bit of slip. And we'll just press and hold it firmly. There. Once we trim some of this excess material, we'll be able to fine tune some spots like that. But there we go, we got rid of all the fingers. Now back to the hood. These edges are starting to dry up, so I'm just using a wrap glove to work the film down around the edge a little more. You can see now it's starting to tuck, making sure I don't have any trapped air or moisture in the edge. And we're just taking our time. So we'll do a little bit here, and then we'll keep doing the same to the roof that we just did. So a little bit tedious, but we have time. It's not for a client, it's for myself. All right, it's about 4 or 5 hours later. I've been letting it sit. I did tuck some edges in around the side here. So I have tucked the hood edges, but right now that hood is PPF'd. This fender is not. So you can't see too much of a difference. This is still got to take a couple days to cure properly, but I am so far quite impressed. All my edges are wrapped around, so everything's protected when it comes to the hood. Corners all worked out pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Up here we got this brow piece. All of this is wrapped in there. This is just coming up a bit. This is still wet, so this stuff will still tuck in once it dries. It's all tucked in the back here. Again, it's not quite dry. Then we have the roof. So there's a little bit of drying that still needs to take place, but so far I'm pretty happy. So I'm gonna end the video here. In the next video, I am going to have the Ravoony paint protection film cut out on a plotter so we can do some pre-cut shapes so we can see what that's like to work with. So far as a bulk film, like I said, it's been fine, but I am not the expert at my edges. I'm still in practice mode. So we're gonna try some cutout sections, so that'll be in the next video. But if you want to get yourself some Ravoony product, you can head over to their website. I'll leave all the information in the description below, but you can use the promo code DL to get yourself 14% off, whether it be paint protection film or maybe vinyl you want to try out. So if you like today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.